Hi, welcome to Healing the Trauma Within. In this session, I am talking with Adrienne Obi. We are going to be talking about recovering from narcissistic abuse. Let me tell you about Adrienne. She's an astrologer, a tarot reader, spiritual coach, sacred soul light healer, and sacred soul alignment practitioner. She is co-author of the upcoming book, The Soul Legacy Journal, Spiritual Awakenings of 365, and a soul-guided instructor at Spiritual Businesswoman Network. She is a Western intuitive astrologer with more than 40 years experience and enjoys working with group members and clients. Adrienne is a survivor of early childhood trauma and a host of other unfortunate circumstances. Sometimes she gets goosebumps when she thinks of all the struggles and hurdles she's overcome and crushed. May her story give hope to others that it is not over till it's over. Welcome, Adrienne.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and talking with us today. Let's just dive in. So, I think the best thing to do is let's define narcissism. Let's start there.
Okay. I will tell you, after my experience, I went on this crazy journey, which a lot of people do. And I started studying NPD, like narcissism personality disorder, because it's a long story, but it seems that because of social media, whatever, this has really become more rampant in recent years than before. Not that it just started, but it's more out there. And of course, they have more access to people because of things like the internet. Mm-hmm. And I did meet my husband online on the internet. We were playing Mafia Wars on Facebook together. And I became a Mafia Wars boss, and he became one of my officers. And one thing that led to another, but we don't know about, most of us aren't walking around thinking, oh, this person's a narcissist or looking for clues. We just live our lives. So most of us miss it.
Well, and not only that, but a true narcissist doesn't show their true colors right away.
No.
They are charismatic, they are charming, and you don't see the negative side until you're deep in.
Not at all. In fact, there's something they call love bombing, and that love bombing, man, that gets you. I even to this day, and now what I have is called rumination, because most people have gone through it. They ruminate over it, But the love bombing phase, oh my gosh, I knew this guy for years, but to me, the romance was epic. It was perfect. And of course, I agreed to marry him because it seemed, even though now that I look back on hindsight, I was crazy. He lived in England. I live in Seattle, and he only came to visit. He never lived with me. I never knew his life. I was just smitten with the person I believed I was in love with. And I took it at face value because I'm honest. And I thought this person was being equally honest.
Absolutely.
But, when there was a completely different life happening elsewhere, and how would I know? I'm in Seattle. So it kind of came out of the blue. One of the things that happened, and why I know there's certain things that they do, and it's almost like they have a playbook. Narcissists. So there's devaluing, there's discarding, there's gaslighting, and there's hoovering. There's certain things. They all seem to do these same things. And one of the things they do is they tend to get people involved in love with them because the love bombing is so great. And then they're the person you want them to be because they're feeding off of you. They're feeding off of your expectations. And if you really stop and you look back on the relationship, you realize you did all of that, like all of that loving was coming out of you, but you don't realize that at the time. You're into the moment that was set up, and you believe it 100%. Every situation is different, but it's remarkable how similar they are. Mm-hmm. I've been following people like Dr. Sam Vaknin and also Quinn from Associate Direct. I'm really, and Dr. Carmen Bryant, I'm really follow into this because after it happened, you're left with this feeling like, what just happened? I mean, we're
Right.
all adults. We've all dated before, or I actually was married before and in a common law marriage. So I wasn't new to marriage. I wasn't new to dating or breaking up or anything like that. What I experienced was completely different and not normal. And you try to put a some kind of explanation like what just happened, like what was that. And the funny thing is most people who are in a narcissistic abusive relationship, they are left with that. That's part of the MO. They leave you guessing because you thought this guy was perfect, what just happened. So I just want to share something in case people are wondering, what is she talking about? I saw a show on Netflix because Quinn at Associate Direct had mentioned it, and it was called Dirty John. I recommend everybody watch Dirty John. There was just this scene. He was the perfect husband, or perfect date husband. And there was this
Right.
scene where he was every morning he would have these shakes, like these all different types of mixed shakes for her, and so her every need was met, like even giving her breakfast in bed and all of this. But I will say this, when it comes to narcissists, it's like that show on the ID Discovery Channel, Evil Lives Here. Like there were clues, right? There was always clues. And if you really stop and look in some of these relationships, there's always clues. There's always something that they're doing that lets you know, like in his case, I was never allowed to mention any exes. They were always biatches or, crazy or, she who can't be named or things like that. It was really not normal. And then I also remember there was a time I used to like to take lots of pictures and show off our relationship. And he was like, why are you taking pictures? It didn't make sense to me then. But now that I'm out of it and I don't want to look at any picture, I realize what he's saying. Like, this is just for the moment. You're not going to want to see these pictures later. Even my marriage photo, it gives me EBGBs. So it's stocked away. And it's amazing. Like you start to reflect back and they give you all the clues in the relationship. We just miss it. So I advise anyone who has not been looking at all the information out there on narcissistic abusive relationships, do that. But there are clues. Like, I was with an alcoholic and he hit me, and I should have knew right away the moment I was hit, I should have left. I have to take my part of my responsibility in staying in that relationship for as long as I did and believing.
Yeah, well, they do those, I'm so sorry, baby. I didn't mean it. It was the alcohol. I promise it will never happen again. I love you so much. Please don't leave me.
Yeah.
What else have they told me? Because I'm
You've been through this
I've
too.
been through this once or twice. I'm trying to think of all the stuff they told me after you get hit. It's like, you made me do it. You pushed me to my limit. And that's where the gaslighting comes in, making you think like you're crazy.
Yes.
They turn everything around on you, and they're very good at it.
Very, very, very good. Because this person was the perfect person, right?
Right.
This is the guy who loves you. They married you, they committed to you, or whatever the situation might be. And so you're not thinking, oh, that's the enemy, or that person's out to hurt me. You're thinking they got your best interest at heart. Most of us think that other people think just like we think, and they feel just like we feel, but that's not true. There are some people, I don't know what that man thinks about. I know drinking, but I don't know beyond that, what's there. And I had to admit that I don't know what's there beyond the alcohol. I always said there were 3 people in that marriage, or 3 things at least. There was me, him, and the alcohol.
Yeah.
It was always like that. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about, what happens after you've left the relationship.
Yes.
Let's get into the healing process.
Yes. Well, the crazy thing is, as you mentioned in the beginning, I'm now a sacred soul light healer and a sacred soul alignment practitioner. And the funny thing is, I stumbled onto this wonderful healer. She's my coach, and I hope I don't know if I can shout her out, but Alicia Hartzell. And she is wonderful. Okay. And she created sacred soul alignments. And I remember I had become a friend with her. She had given me like a free whatever, just testing me out. I think she was still in the beginning stages. And I felt like something there. It made me realize I deserved better. And in between, this all happened where he left. And I remember going to her page, and she had a anger and resentment ritual. Because there's always this anger and resentment and upsetness and all this stuff that you're going through and ruminating, and I hate them and all this stuff. And I remember I had our wedding cake, because this happened within our 2-year anniversary. Like, it was 2 weeks after our 2-year anniversary. So I still had our wedding cake in the freezer. And I remember I had did this ritual where I wrote down everything I was feeling. I mean, I just remember I was scribbling. I was just really going into it. And I mean, I was just pages of it. I mean, really, just like, I hate him. And I just let it all out. And then I went over to the sink and I burned it. And it was a big thing, with the burning and the filming of it. And then I went and I got the wedding cake, and I'm like, and F you too. And I threw it down the garbage disposal, and I let it go. And I felt it was so cathartic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Had I not let that anger out and release that resentment, like right then, that would have ate up at me. That's why there's so many people who are bitter and they can't get beyond it. They can't find the happiness. There was a situation where I had taken a photo of me when I first started dating him, and then a photo of me after. Now, a lot of people think, oh, she still has a baby face, because when I tell them I'm almost 60, they're like, what? But I am.
No way.
Yeah, I am. I am. But I had even a more baby face. I look like a child when he met me. So I remember I stuck a picture up of me before and after. And I think now you see some of the countenances come back. But it was weird. Like my eye, like even now it's not quite the same. Like I had like, Forrest Whitaker eye and everything. It was just, sorry, Forrest Whitaker, but it was just one of those things where they suck the life out of you. Like you literally, because you're on eggshells the whole time. Right. You don't know what you're doing that's going to be wrong, or when they're going to pick with you, or they're going to, nitpick at something you're doing that's not right or perfect or good enough, or any of those things. So you're constantly like that, and you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, all of those things. So when you come back out of it, it's like you're regaining yourself, you're healing, you're finding yourself again. And the first step is to release all the gunk. Otherwise, that question mark over why will be there forever. You'll never know. And I got to a place where I realized it's not my place to know. I'm here to experience the joy of this life. Someone sold some of that joy and they got away with it. That's fine. I still got more. I can replenish that joy from within me. Absolutely. And so, because they're attracted to the light, right? They always go for people who have light, bubbly personalities and lots of joy. They always go for those people who got something going. Usually they don't go for people who are going to need them. They go for people that they can go to, right? And so once you realize that you're worthy and you are the light, it doesn't matter what they did. I'm sure he's still out there with doing that either with himself or with someone else, making them miserable. But I no longer have to experience that. And for that, I feel joy because I got away. I am free. I am free. I get up and dance. I mean, I get goosebumps like, oh my God, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I feel like I'm singing like, the song in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, when they're out of the woods. Or what's that one? No, that's the Wizard of Oz. We're out of the woods. We're out of the, I feel like that's what happened. At first you'll miss it. Because we get so addicted to that pain, so addicted to feeling that way. People putting you down or shaming you, or, like, oh, you'll never be able to do that. I remember he told me, astrology, I don't believe in astrology. Nobody believes in astrology. No one's going to take you serious the moment you say the word astrologer. I now got over 3,000 people on my YouTube channel, right? But hey, this guy wouldn't hear anything. I even said, and it's weird, but as an astrologer, I have to say, I did predict this was going to happen. I had said to him as we were dating, I'm like, look, we've got a Pluto problem here. Pluto is indicative in relationships of power plays. And of course, when we're dealing with people like alcoholics and stuff, usually that is involved because it's about power. It's about control, right? Controlling your money, controlling you. They'll pull you away from your friends. I mean, I had no friends left after I was so alone. I had so many friends. And at that point, I even lost friends because, they sometimes pull your friends away. And so all of that was occurring. It was amazing. The best you can do is to heal yourself. You're never going to be able to heal them, ever. And one of the things I did that if I could help anybody out there is I would say it was no less than 3 months. I would say a pono in the shower, which is, what is it? Thank you.
Please forgive me. I'm
Please forgive me.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I love you. Yeah.
Right. And I would just say it over and over and over and
Yep.
over and over and over. And I remember in the beginning, I used to cry when I said it. And then after a while, it just was like, it was just coming out because it was a habit. And now I still say it, but I just throw it in there any old direction. But it's like, the thing is, you've got to get to that place where you can forgive yourself for allowing it to happen. Because that's really what it is at the end of the day, that rumination. You're like, because you keep thinking, how did I not see it? How did I let this happen? Why was I so blind? How could I be so stupid? Like, we start blaming ourselves and and then we start believing some of the things they might have told us if they did put you down. And so, rebuilding yourself from the inside up, that's where it starts. So whatever program that is, if you need a coach, if you need an astrologer, if you need, a psychic, whatever it is, I mean, reach out, get some help. Don't try to go through it alone. You're not alone. You're not the only person who's being duped. And right now, because of the rise of narcissism, due to like online dating and stuff like that, more people are getting duped than before. It's easy picking. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone will hit up my or DM me. I don't know them, but they're like, "Oh, you're beautiful," or "I like to get to know you," or blah blah blah. I've actually talked to several people, and they are weird. So I would say, don't date people online.
If they slide into your DMs, block them, run away, get away. They're creepers. They're 100% creepy people.
Creepy.
For sure. I want to mention something. You say forgive yourself for allowing it to happen. And I want to clarify for our listeners, that does not mean it was your fault. I want to make sure that they understand that forgiveness isn't saying I let this happen. This is my fault.
Right. Right.
So I want to make sure that they understand that.
Right.
It's more of a, just forgiving yourself. Just forgiving yourself.
I think it's important because there's a couple of things that happen, and they talk about this a great deal in the narcissistic community. One, we don't want to become professional victims.
Right.
So we've got to come to a place inside of us where we accept that it happened.
Yep.
We accept whatever responsibility we had in it happening, and then we let it go.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to let it go. Like, I don't mind talking about the situation because it happened. I mean, the man left me 3 weeks after I lost my last chance at a baby. I'm in my 50s, right? Never going to get another chance. It's done. So that's that kind of thing. But that's the kind of thing they do. They wait for moments like that to strike. That's when they usually come out. Like someone died in the family, right? Or you lost a parent or anything like that. You lost a child. You just got married, you moved, you got a new house. They always strike in the moment when you need them most. So just be aware of that this is happening. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, I advise you go and get help. Find a counselor, a priest, even someone like me, an astrologer, anyone who can name it, give and let you know that you're not crazy. Because
Yep.
there's something they call crazy making. I don't know if you heard of that. That's something that they do. It's like they call it crazy making because you start to think you're crazy. Like, did I
Mhm.
imagine that?
That's when they
Am
use
I overreacting?
gaslighting. Yeah.
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 Because you can't believe it. Like this perfect guy couldn't possibly be doing that.
Right.
And that's how we get sucked in because we don't accept what's right before us. What they call it, cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. It's right in front of us, but we don't want to
Yeah.
see it. We don't want to see it. So get help. Sometimes that second or third opinion, and not just your friends, because they've already been influenced by the narcissists. I mean, I've been doing a lot of study, and as far as I can tell, every one of them hit up your friends and family before you realize they have hit up your friends and family. That's why they turn a lot of people against you. And sometimes you might be in a situation where someone you dated is still hanging in around your family.
Mhm.
That's part of that. So things like that, it's always good to get outside help that's for you, not because you're in a couple or because it's family that know your situation, so that you can get a sounding board that's
Right.
neutral,
Yeah. Objective.
objective. Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Well,
also
Adrienne.
found a couple of groups too. I was just going to throw
Yeah.
that in there, like on
Yeah.
Facebook, stuff like that. They're out there, people.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well, our group, Releasing Trauma, that we have, that you were invited to when you first signed up, listeners, definitely hit us up in there, explain the situation, and we'll tell you what's going on. We'll tell you the truth. No holds barred.
I
No
love.
shame, no judgment. It's pure love and support. So definitely, hit us up in there. Well, Adrienne, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I could talk about this topic for a while because it is so prevalent. It's almost like another plague is hitting, unfortunately. So,
It's very sad, but it's
watch
true.
out. Yeah, pay attention for those red flags. If you feel that there's a red flag, but you're just not sure, there's a red flag. You know, if you think it's an alarm going off, it's an alarm going off. Listen to your instincts. So, thank you for joining me and talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Listeners, thank you for joining us in this session, and we'll talk to you in one of the other sessions.